And how you doing today? I have something for you today. It's going to be interesting and it's going to make you mad. And it's probably if your mind is open to the truth of the Bible, this will actually help you understand a lot more of the Bible and everything else. If you are a King James only kind of person, this is the King James is inspired, and by golly, this is all I need. Then you know, I'll see you later, right? Okay, so uh, I assume there's only grown-ups left now, so we'll talk about now. Okay. One of the basic things that you should know about your Bible, the scriptures and everything else, which I really enjoy of all the new scholarship that's out there on YouTube for free, is the fact that you have to understand that the Bible is an ancient book. Okay. It was, West Hub got thrown into the coals because he said he was at least 1600, yes, 1600 years old and all of this and that, and people have all these arguments about that. Now, the age of the actual Bible that was put together, it can be up for debate, but we're going to focus on the Hebrew scriptures. And so those, while they're at least 2000 years old, at the very least, right? Because Jesus already had them, and if we start going back in time, you'll have books that were in part of the Hebrew scriptures way before that. Now, some of the stuff would have been oral traditions that were written down and passed down. So you're looking at millennia of information, things that happened thousands and a couple more thousand years ago. Okay, and so the language, as you know, if you're live in this century, the language changes. And it can change from one year to the next, a generation to the next generation. It's just a simple thing. Gay, okay? When back in the day, somebody said, "Oh, we just went out into the town and had a gay old time." It meant something different 50 years ago than it would mean now. Two whole different things, okay? Our culture evolves and moves around. So, one thing that you have to be understanding is that when you read the Bible, you're looking at ancient language, ancient literature, and all that. You cannot, I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. You can't just look at it and say, okay, what does this mean for me right now? The whole point is to understand what he meant to them then so that you can then understand what he means to you now. One detail of Jewish literature is they don't necessarily give you the moral of the story. We are presented with a situation and you're supposed to derive from there. Okay? So I think I have a whole video on that somewhere else, and so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But I am going to talk to you about angels, okay? Because eventually I want to talk to you about demons and curses and all of that. But the first thing you have to understand is where angels come from and how you've been reading the literature or the passages in the Bible that talks about angels incorrectly. Okay? So, first of all, when I say angels, depending on where in the world you live, you either see this majestic humanoid figures with wings and all of that. Think about the Michael, no, what's the John Travolta movie with where he was an angel, the Archangel Michael, remember? Do you know the wings and all of that? Either that, or you think of Valentine's Day, the little angels with the cherubim, the little fat babies and all that, okay? Or so you have a certain idea that has been given to you about angels over the centuries. Okay. This is not what the Bible talks about when the Bible talks about angels. Okay. So the first thing that we want to do is look at the actual word. What does it mean? I mean, not what does it mean to me now, but what did it mean to them there? And one of the first there's a couple instances where angels show up and all that, but the one of the biggest ones where we have the most our preconceived notions of the Bible and our misconception of the language and all of that shows up full force is in the passage where the whole passage of Abraham and Sodom and Gomorrah and all of that. Okay. So sorry, the first thing I want to do is bring up uh where is the passage? Let me pause this for a second while I find it. Yeah, I think you can pause this. Yeah. Nope, that's not it either. Hang on. Trying to remember my own pause. Go ahead and first share my screen with you. Our usual Logos software. Okay. Let me see. What are you looking at? Okay. So we have here chapter 16 of Genesis. Okay. And so this is not the first time that the angel of the Lord shows up. And there's a lot of misconception about who the angel of the Lord is. I used to believe that he was the pre-incarnate Jesus. And I have since changed my mind. And here's the challenging thing. If you know someone that is teaching you the Bible, showing you the Bible and all of that, and is trying to teach you about it, ask them if they have changed their mind about anything in the Bible that they read in the Bible. Because if they say no, it means that their knowledge of the Bible is very superficial. I used to believe a lot of different things when I first started reading, and then I understood more, then went back and read again and understood more. And not just me, that I've met a lot of good, solid scholars that the longer they study, the more they change their mind about a lot of things in the Bible. Because the more you study, the more you learn, the more God reveals to you. Okay, so let's start with the simple word angel. Okay, it's right here, and let's do a little study on that one. So in the word in Hebrew, okay, as you can see here, the word for angel is Malik, okay, and it means messenger. Now they add here, now it's very interesting. Now this is stuff we don't know, okay, because we don't know, we didn't. This new creation of the software and stuff like that that has the interlinear language, it's new, it's relatively new. And so while you would have known about your teacher and your preacher, they would taught you what they knew, you wouldn't have known the Hebrew behind it. But you can figure it out if you're a curious Christian. Now, the word Malak means not angel, okay? It just simply means messenger, messenger of God. And then here it says prophets, priests, and then it double backs on itself and it says angels. The word angel is used in there, but it's not what that means. The word angel actually comes from the Greek word angelos, okay, which also means messenger. But we, as in the newest in our new language, the way that we view language, we have changed that, and now we think of angels as winged creatures or supernatural creatures, but that is not what they meant in the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, okay? They meant uh, just a human that was a messenger of God, okay, that brought to you a message from God. Okay. I mean, technically speaking, your pastor who's bringing you, reading you the Bible, interpreting the Bible, is an angel of God. Okay, a messenger of God. Anybody that you leaving, baby? Yep. Have a good day, son. Love you. Careful. Enjoy your day.
What time do you get off?
6.
Okay.
Bye. Off to work he goes. Okay. So, right. So that's right there. The first thing that you have to think about in your mind when you're reading your scriptures, you have to think a messenger, not angel, because angel has his own mystical connotations that are nowhere to be seen in the Bible. Okay. So then you have this. So let's go back to our passage that I want to go over with you. Uh, let's see, is this one? Yes. Nope, not that one either. Okay, it was 17. Okay. It says here, when Abraham was 99 years old, no, that's not it either. Sorry about that. I had a kid in there. Okay. Now, a couple things you need to know about the ancient way of messengers, okay? In the culture of the day, when let's say that my husband is the king and I am his messenger, okay? I'm taking a message to another kingdom, to another group of people, whatever. When I spoke, I would speak as if I was my husband, okay? If I was the king with the same word, and I would have, because the king has bestowed upon me the authority to speak on his behalf. So when I spoke, I would speak as if I was, if he said, let's say my husband, the king, sent me on an envoy to negotiate a trade of grain. When I went to in front of the other king, the way I would speak with would say, I'm here to negotiate the grain. I will do this, I will do that, I will do this and that, and I will give you 50 for this and all of that. I would speak with the authority of the king, and I would say it as if I was the king. It's so important that you know that. This is how the engineers worked. This is how messengers communicated the message of the king. Okay? So, when Abraham, now, another thing that you have to reconcile with all of this, God, Yahweh, is spirit. You can't see him and live. Okay? You cannot see God and live. Your body would just disintegrate. Think about the guys touching the Ark of the Covenant. They died immediately because they were too close and they touched pure holiness. And we're not pure holiness. We can't be nowhere near, in this physical body, you cannot be nowhere near God like that. Okay? You disintegrate. So, in no way, it doesn't seem like the Abraham, from my perspective, ever really saw God, but he saw the emissaries, the messengers, the people, the prophets, the men of God that came to see him. And so let's talk about that. And it says here, and the Lord Yahweh appeared to him by the oaks of Mamre, and he sat at the door of his tent in the heat of the day. Okay? Now, what he's telling, this passage is telling us simply that uh, Abraham received a message from God at this time. Then it says here, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men. Now, this is the word men, human beings. Okay? Let me actually go back and get rid of this. I'll show you. Ooh, oopsie. Let me go back. Where'd he go? 3 men. So the word, the Hebrew word behind it is ish, okay, which means a man, husband, human being, or man, okay. Just got to read the plain meaning of the word. It just means 3 human beings showed up. No wings, no magical beings, no messenger, none any of that. Just three men were standing in front of him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed himself to the earth and said, "O Lord, if I have found favor in your sight, do not pass by your servant." So he's addressing one of them individually. "If I have found favor in your sight, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought and wash your feet, and restore yourselves under the tree while I bring a morsel of bread, that you may refresh yourself, and after that you may pass on, since you have come to your servant." So they said, "Do as you have said." Well, how do you know they're human beings other than the fact that he tells you they're human beings? He's offered them comforts of a human of the time. Wash your feet, refresh yourself, get a little water, wait while I cook for you, all these things, okay? Everything in the context of the passage is directing you to the fact that these are human beings. They're not anything else other than that. Don't read into that. Now, here's the thing about something about Hebrew literature. It's very sparse. We are so used to reading books that have descriptions. Have you ever read, oh, what is that? Fitzgerald. I mean, I've read more on the Latin America literature stuff, and the descriptions of the hills and all of that, and the setting or what, because they're trying to paint a picture for you of where you are in that particular book. That is not what happens with Hebrew literature, okay? It's very sparse. It just tells you the narrative a little bit, and you get a little bit of the setting. Why? Because they assume that the reader of this particular passage knows where the Oaks of Mamre are. They know what it means with the heat of the day. They know the customs and cult of the culture of Abraham. One of the biggest things is hospitality. Why? Because there were no grocery stores. There were no hotels. You couldn't just go somewhere and get some water and a snack for your journey. Okay, so this was important. So so he does that, and and then they say, "Do as you have said." And Abraham went quickly into the tent to Sarah and said, "Quick, 3 sheets of fine flour, knead them and make cakes." So she's gonna make him food. I'm sorry. And Abraham ran to the herd and took a calf, tender and good, and gave it to a young man who prepared it quickly. Then he took curds and milk. I mean, it's this is a feast, right? And a calf he prepared and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree while they ate. Physical food coming in. Now, if you want to say that these are angelic beings, that these are supernatural beings, okay, you're leaping into something else. You're leaping into the fact that that uh these angels or whatever are able to take over other people's bodies. And this is why I want you to start here, because that's one of the confusions that we have with demons and curses and things like that. Okay, so these are people and they're eating. All right. Now they said to him, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" And he said, "She's in the tent." And then Yahweh said, wait, where did Yahweh come from? He's sitting there in the form of the three people. Okay? They probably, you know how in the prophets you hear, "That says the Lord." Okay, that says Yahweh. And then the prophet will proceed to tell you the message. It could have been that. But so far, we only have three human beings in front of Abraham. And one of them, remember, I just told you about the way that a messenger would address the person that he was sent to, as if he was the king, the Lord, etc. This is a part of that culture in the time. And he says, Yahweh said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife shall have a son." And Sarah was listening at the tent door behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were all advancing years. The way of women had ceased to be with Sarah. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, after I am worn out and my Lord is old, shall I have pleasure? And the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh? Shall I indeed bear a child now that I am old? And then what does he say? Is anything too hard for the Lord? The messenger didn't say, is anything too hard for me? Right? That's not Yahweh sitting there. It's not God standing there. It is the messenger of God, a human person, talking to Sarah saying, is anything too hard for Yahweh? Is anything too hard for the Lord? No. He didn't say it is anything too hard for me. It's the language that tells you everything. Okay? And says, at the appointed time, I will return to you about this time next year, and Sarah shall have a son. So she repeats the message one more time. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. And he said, no, but you did laugh. Then the men set out from there, and they looked down toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to set them on their way. Now, I am not saying that this man of God, that the messengers or prophets and all that, were not special people. Okay? They're carrying God's message. So definitely they're special people. But the other thing that you have to understand, they had powers and given to them by God. They were powerful human beings. So, I mean, you just have to think about examples that we have. One of the reasons we have Elisha, and some of the other prophets that we're told about in the book of Kings is to let us know that these human beings had powers to do a lot of things. Okay. Were they special people? Yes, but they were still human in our bodies, kind of like us, born from a woman and a man. All right. So then she goes on, and here's the other passage. One of them, and they were studying, and Abraham went, walked a little ways with them because they're getting ready to leave to wherever they were going to begin with. And one of the messengers said, shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nation of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I have chosen him that he may command his children. So he's deciding whether to tell Abraham or not. Now, he knows what God is doing with Abraham, right? And he tells him, I'm going to go destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And because they have a very great sin. And just an aside, the great sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was not homosexuality, but it was the oppression of the poor. We're told that later in scripture. And it says, I will go down to see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry has come to me, and if not, I will know. So the men turned there and went towards Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Two of the guys are moving on. And then this particular messenger stands behind and is talking to Abraham. Think about it this way. Abraham is talking to somebody, and it's definitely not God. Definitely, I'm going to tell you um, for just a minute. Think about it this way. Abraham's standing there. He's talking to someone, okay? Two of the guys had already left. He's not only looking at him, standing next to him, and he is talking to him to kind of advocate for the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? What does Jesus say later on in his ministry? No one has seen God. No one has seen God. So whoever's Abraham, and you can either call Jesus a liar, and I would caution you against that, or mistaken, and I will also caution you against that. This is not God Himself. Okay, this is a representative, a human representative of God sent out to carry a message. This is not new. I mean, this is not good, some news to you. We have Jesus who carried the message of God in him. Okay? This should not be surprising to you. It's just we think angels and we think wings instead of thinking messenger, someone like a prophet. Okay? It's really important. So then Abraham chewed them down and to 10 people, and he says, if I've seen 10 people, I will spare them. I will spare the entire city over 10 righteous people. Okay. So he wiggles them down to 10, I think, and then he continued to talk to him. He said, okay, we'll save him. So now,
Oh, what's that?
and see, probably my books. We have an order. No?
No,
Okay.
the
So,
cat's in the window.
and scene, right? So now we got the two messengers are in Sodom, and Lot is sitting at the gate, and he sees two people, and he says, "Come on, come in my house." And they're like, "Well, no, we're gonna be in the town square." And what does he say? No, you can't stay there. And these are he's seeing men, okay. And when the people of Sodom try to attack them, they see men, okay, human beings. They're not watching wings or ethereal people or anything like that. These are two human beings that they intend to rape, okay. So they went to his house, but before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man surrounded the house. And what do they say? And they call out, where are the men? Oh, look at that.
Got thorns, careful.
It's spring, you guys.
Who's
Come on.
that?
Oh, look how pretty. Oh, let me tell you. Oh, look at that. How fancy is that?
That's orange. Oh, you mean the
No, the
flower?
flower. Oh yeah, they smell good. Anyway, so let's continue. Let me share again. We're almost done to the end, guys. Okay. So what does he say? Well, don't touch the men. We need to know and then what does he offer them? His daughters, and we could talk a whole lot about that. But what are they seeing? Human being, man ish. And if you look behind the Hebrew, there's nothing weird there. It's just the word ish for men. Uh, do yourself a favor. The biggest thing you can do for yourself is either get a software that has the interlinear or buy a book with the interlinear on it. And it will give you a big sense of how some of the words are and what do they mean and all that. It's the best companion you can get. So they get mad at him and they try to break down the doors, but the men reached out their hands and brought Lot into the house with them and shut the door. And they struck with blindness the men who were at the entrance of the house. Now, these people are powerful, friends. These are powerful people, okay? They have the power of God in them. This is not But this is not because they were angels and they were supernatural beings or anything like that. These people have the power of God in them, okay, bestowed to them by God. And then the man said to Lot, the men, again, just all you have to do is read the actual words that are there, not the messengers, not Yahweh himself, none of that. Have anyone else here, sons-in-laws, daughters, and all of that. Here's another small tidbit. Have you anyone else here, sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone you have in the city? Bring them out of the place. If these people were like from God directly, in the sense that they were supernatural beings. They have no need to ask any questions. Okay? They just say, get your people out, your daughters, and don't bother with the sons-in-laws because they're not going to believe you. Okay? So they're about to destroy the place, all of that. And he begs for a city to go to. He's very slow, and he's taking his time. He says, but he lingers. So the man seized him and his wife and his two daughters by the hand, the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out and set him outside the city. So they literally had to drag him out of the house and take him outside because, listen, we're about to destroy this place. Stop diddle dallying, okay? So let's say they take him out. They say go run to the hills. He says no. Can I please have one of the cities and stay there? They say okay, you can stay in the city. Okay, so here's the next passage. The sun has risen on the earth when Lot came to Zoar, and then Yahweh reigned. And here's where people say that there's one of these guys is one of the men in this story is Jesus. Okay, now here it says, then Yahweh rained on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from Yahweh out of heaven and overthrew those cities and all the valleys and inhabitants of the city will grow on the ground. So they say Yahweh from Yahweh. Okay, this is one of the quirks of Hebrew literature. It's called a parallelism. All that to say is that they said the same thing twice to make the point strong. To say the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah was from God. It was certainly from God. Okay? It's just reinforcing from whom the punishment comes. So, and you have lots, and then you have the daughter sleeping with not sleeping but having intercourse with her father and all of that. But for our purposes, it's right there. Excuse me, ma'am, I'm busy. Here, I'll show you you my baby. She doesn't like to be held, but she wants to be close sometimes. So that's it. Okay. It's not um this is nothing that is veiled, okay? There's not anything that was not available to you to read. Okay, so a lot of people say, I just need my Bible and nothing else. Okay, but then read it. Okay? Read it. It says men. It doesn't say supernatural angelic beings from somewhere else. Okay? So this is one of those projects that I've been working and kind of analyzing in my own head uh recently. Uh because you have to get rid of in your mind, and you have to remove your glasses from the 21st century. Your 21st century view of this particular passage has been formed by, oh, I don't know, the the Italians, al frescoes, their idea of, I mean, think about it this way. How long, how many Mexican people in the world have a picture of Jesus, blonde, blonde hair, blue eye? Okay. So, couldn't have been further from the truth. Okay. He looked like a Palestinian right now. Okay. So, that's the whole thing. We forget that the Bible is an ancient document that talked to people in the ancient times. Does that mean that it's not important to us? Absolutely not. It's the word of God. Uh, just because you use your mind like you're supposed to, God says love, you have to love God with all your mind, heart, and strength and all that. He's want you to use your mind, friend. Okay? And So this is the first passage of many that we will cover. There, the angels, the angel of the Lord, the messengers of Yahweh are all over the scriptures. Okay, and we just need to put on our hats and say, okay, what does the actual the text actually say? What is it the text actually saying? And it tells you there itself. They're men. How you know? Okay, Abraham can talk to them face to face. That's one thing, and no one can talk face to face with God without falling, without bursting into flames. Just think Mount Sinai. Think about Moses, and think about God descending on the mountain in fire. Okay, that's God. This is not God. This is a messenger of God, a human messenger of God. They can eat, they can get tired, they can get overwhelmed in the heat, and that can grab someone by the hand and pull them out of the city. Okay, so this is for you. I hope that this helps you. Just reread the passages, and just there's a simple exercise. Put instead of the word angel, use the word messenger when you read it in your mind, and it will change a lot. I hope this helps you in your study. I hope that uh, it helps you grow up. That studying these things is supposed to help you become a better Christian and a true disciple of Jesus. Okay, a real true disciple of Jesus. Being a Christian is not the same as Jesus discipleship. Those are two very different things. And I've done a bunch of videos on this, a couple of videos on this, but uh you can be a good righteous human without ever having to be reading the Bible, because we have the word of God written in our heart. Okay? You can be a good human like that, for sure. But if you have been called to be a disciple of Jesus, navel gazing without context of the Bible is not a true discipleship of Jesus. Okay? That's all I have to say. Anyways, God bless. I hope you enjoyed it. Ask questions. Uh, don't yell at me in the comments. I'll probably delete them. And if you have